Hello, everybody. Welcome to Formula Facts, Episode 1. I'm Jack Like.
And I'm Destinee Day.
So we're going to be doing this podcast. Destinee and I are relatively new into the Formula One sphere, right?
Us along with everyone in the United States.
Right? We kind of hopped on the Drive to Survive train, and now we're locked in. We're never going to get out now. So we're going to be talking about all things Formula One, and we talked about. I think we're gonna do some interesting stuff with the upcoming races. Preseason testing is coming up, right, in Bahrain. But since it's our first episode, let's go with what we missed. What happened in the off season? Want to start with Lewis Hamilton.
The news we've been waiting for a full year that F1 even marked with like a social media post, like on this day a year ago, Lewis announced he was going to Ferrari. But the media hype around Lewis going to Ferrari was so crazy before he like actually showed up at the factory looking like, you know, an awesome boss man in his three-piece suit and jacket over his shoulders. But like my marketing PR brain was like, yeah, that makes him stand out. He looks super awesome. But then it was like nothing but a sea of red from the moment he stepped into Ferrari.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. We were kind of talking about it when we were like preparing for this. We were saying, is he doing this? You know, is Ferrari picking him because they can see him succeeding in 2025? Or is this more of just Lewis Hamilton, right? He's 40 years old now, 19 seasons in F1. Is he doing this just to wear the red jumpsuit, you know?
Yeah, right. And his career on a high. I mean, I would have to think it's closer to that given the last few years at Mercedes, but these guys are massive competitors, right? So he's still looking for that championship. The ironic thing is that Schumacher retired out of Ferrari and then came back with Mercedes, and now he's leaving Mercedes going to Ferrari, but they're still tied for most drivers' championships. And Lewis is looking at that.
It's very interesting. We see Ferrari, a very competitive team, right? They were second last year in the Constructor Championship, you know, right behind McLaren. It was very close. But, you know, Mercedes have had that, you know, slow drop-off, right? Where they finished last year in fourth. So I think Lewis Hamilton is realizing that his years might be coming to an end, right? Maybe let's try to hop on the competitive train while he still can.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But I really kind of hope he succeeds. And it's going to be an even more interesting dynamic between him and Charles Leclerc, because Charles Leclerc has been like Ferrari's little darling. They've brought him up since he was real little. So to see how Charles reacts to all of this it's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, you know, he was always like kind of like the miracle child, right, Leclerc? So it will be interesting. And I always a little bittersweet, right, with the whole Lewis Hamilton coming to Ferrari. I was a Carlos Sainz fan. I'm a Carlos Sainz fan, so I'm a little upset that he got bumped.
Me too.
I'm a big fan, and he's a great driver. It's okay, but I can't get into it. But it's just very exciting. It's exciting for Lewis, and we see that he's definitely putting the work in. You know, he's there at the factory all the time. He's talking to the people that are making the car, right? We hear in the news recently about the pedals, right? And he's working a lot with the pedals. And Ferrari's full. They're all in, right, on Lewis, right? They brought in his old trainer that he used to have at Mercedes, so that they want Lewis to succeed.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they made that clear when they offered him the contract, right? Part of their contract was that they donated money to his foundation. So, I mean, I think that there's some cool things that are going on for them to support Lewis. On the other hand, the flip-flop, it was in the news this week, but Mercedes finally has a brand deal with Adidas. And that's something that Lewis has wanted for years. And the moment he left, they partnered with Adidas. I just feel bad for Lewis on that front, but it'll be fine.
Do you let's get into how Lewis did, right, when in his testing, right? We saw that we crashed, right? He crashed in Barcelona. So let's talk. What do you think about that?
I think that's a little funky. You know, each F1 car is unique and essentially bespoke to the team and to the season. But to get behind a wheel of a Ferrari that you're sharing with the other driver, like it wasn't even like they had both cars. They had one car there. They were sharing.
And he went first too. So
like, you know, the seat's not molded for him. he's trying to get a different feel for it, right? And then he just crashed it. Like, he didn't total it, but he definitely made the mechanics put in some work before Charles got in, and I was a little sad.
Yeah. Well, we go into the. I think we can talk about the people that might be getting into F1, kind of like we were. I knew I was when I was reading up on this. You're only allowed to drive 1,000, right, 1,000 kilometers in an old car, right, leading up to the season per drive. I thought that was kind of interesting. They were driving the 2023 car, and they were sharing the car. So I think he did 30 laps in Barcelona. But like you said, that the seat's not molded to him yet. There's a lot of problem with the pedals, and I saw they were fitting around for his steering wheel, seeing what he was going to decide with stuff like that. But that just comes into we see this with a lot of teams when new drivers come. But it must be different for Lewis. He's been in Mercedes for 12 years now, right? So
long time.
Used to having working with the engineers, so it might be a new challenge, but I'm excited to see how Lewis will overcome this as a veteran.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's going to come out and totally crush it. Like, I just instinctually think, as good as Ferrari was last year, like, he's a competitor. He won at Silverstone last year. Like, that was a big deal. He has that nature in him, but I just think he's going to come out and crush it at Ferrari.
Yeah. And, and Fred Vassar is all in on it too. We heard him say that he admitted that it was a rush trying to, get Lewis acclimated, but he has no concerns about him getting up to speed.
Nah, that's why you hire a pro.
Yeah. Well, look at what he said. He said, I'm not worried about it at all. He's coming with experience. He did almost 20 seasons in F1. He will manage perfectly. Now, something even more exciting. Want to get into Drive to Survive?
Yeah, I'm so excited. March 7th, which I'm like a little sad about. I have plans, so I can't watch when it hits. So I'm just going to be like a couple of days behind.
I'm not allowed to spoil anything?
No, well, I watched the whole season, so like I know what happens.
I know, but this is how we all got into F1. It's so exciting. It's such a big part of our F1. If we look back in our past, right, with F1, this is what started it all, is our Drive to Survive Netflix series.
This is true. I think the most exciting thing was the moment I saw the date, then I immediately Googled the press release because I wanted to see what they said was in the season, because there was so much drama ahead of and at the start of last year's season that I was just like so excited all year about what Drive to Survive was going to air on it. And the press release is definitely hinting at the drama off track, and I'm very excited about it. And so like that, this is a little late. Like, usually Drive to Survive comes out a little earlier, so it's worth the wait if they address the drama.
Well, how much more editing they must be adding in. That's a little more exciting for me. I'm thinking they're pushing it back. Maybe they're adding a little bit more. But Drive to Survive has not shied away from this kind of the controversies that have been had, right? Look back to when the stuff with the Red Bull car, right? And they were looking into the Red Bull car, when they were looking into the Racing Point car, right? Back when they were looking into the Racing Point car. Oh my gosh, I'm like dusting off that memory in my brain, right? So it's interesting to see how they play into all this drama, but I'm excited because I don't think that they'll shy away from it.
I don't think so either, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. Then there's so many things. Lando had his first win in Miami. Then there was Charles, the first Monegasque to win Monaco. Then Charles won again at, I believe it was Imola. Then Lewis won at Silverstone. Then the super tight race between Lando and Verstappen for Drivers' Championship. Then the super tight race between Ferrari and McLaren for Drivers' Championship. Like, it's going to be a great season. Checo losing it halfway through the season.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if they can play up the end of the season the same way they did back when Max first won his first Drivers' Championship. that episode, right, was like, oh my gosh, that like all of our favorite Drive to Survive episodes. It was so perfect, right? And they showed Hamilton, right, and they show Max, and they showed how Checo was in the middle of it. They really did a great job. But now there's so much more, it's so much more competitive, right? Because now, Lewis has kind of stepped back, but now we see the constructor championship between Ferrari and McLaren, some we haven't seen in a while. And no, Max, even though he did win, was a little bit closer this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it. I'm also excited for the F1 movie that's coming out this summer because they spent all last year picking up shots at random Grand Prix and filming the F1 movie. So that's going to be super cool to see what comes out of this summer too.
Yeah, I was looking at, I think I saw something pop up on Instagram. It's like showing these little clips from it. It's like this overtake scene looks so cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Because this is something that I haven't really looked into a lot. But now that I'm getting all this stuff on my phone about it's coming out, and the trailer. And we talked about the trailer a couple of weeks ago, right? And how cool it looks and it's I think it says something in the movies when you have someone that really cares about the sport, right? Brad Pitt really does care about F1. He's into the sport. He's not doing it for the paycheck. He's doing it because he cares about F1. He wants to promote F1. It's interesting. And he kind of got into it like we did, recently, which is exciting.
Yeah. It's the most expensive movie ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Fact. This is Formula Facts.
Formula Fact, right?
That is a Formula Fact. This is the most expensive.
That's the first ever Formula Fact. So the movie better be good if that's a Formula Fact.
So fact number 2, Formula Fact number 2, Lewis Hamilton is heavily involved in producing the F1 movie. Formula Fact number 3, it's a big deal that F1 lent their licensing and the name of the movie is actually F1 with the logo. So like those are 3 massive things that will make this movie completely awesome. And then like on a side note, have you seen any of those videos online where it's comparing Top Gun Maverick's trailer to the F1 trailer?
I have not.
You should look at it. It's and then if that's any indication, it'll be a good movie.
I'm very excited. Like I said, it's all sparring from this love for F1 that all of not just Americans, but especially Americans almost have grown in the past couple of years. It's really exciting that F1 is allowing this and playing into it and encouraging it. It's very exciting. We'll do a little housekeeping. Talk about Andy Cowell and Aston Martin.
Aston Martin, they're making moves, man.
Lawrence Stroll, where it's at. Got the big bucks. He gets what he wants.
That is an accurate statement.
Let's get a little bit into Andy Cowell. So we see Andy Cowell, right, was at Aston Martin. He didn't just come from somewhere else. He was at Aston Martin. He was the group CEO, but he wasn't the team principal. The team principal was Mike Crack. And right in July of, I guess, last year, now we saw this move that now Andy Cowell will be the team principal and the group CEO, and Mike Crack will now become the chief trackside officer. And you can think what you want about that job, but I think we all know what that means. Yeah, but what do you want to say about Andy Cowell?
I mean, it'll be interesting. It's interesting to me that this move was made at the time, given all the other things that are going on at Aston Martin. Obviously, Lawrence Stroll has big dreams and big plans, right? He's just redone the factory. It's all state of the art. He's got Andy Cowell heading up this season, which last season wasn't super great, but they did fairly well. They're like middle of the pack. I think there's a lot of potential to be had this coming season at Aston Martin. And I'm curious to see how Andy's going to do.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. Like you said, Aston Martin is a middle of the pack team, right? They're 5th, but they don't want to stay there, right? They want to keep on building. We see with the new construction at the new campus, and at the new campus, the new wind tunnels, the new simulators. So it's really exciting how they're it's so more exciting that we're going to get a new competitor, right?
Yeah.
Like we kind of saw it this year with Ferrari coming back up and McLaren, but now if we can get Aston Martin in the mix, it's just going to be even more exciting. And Andy Cowell definitely does have the resume. he won 15 world titles when he was at Mercedes, and he was kind of him and his team started with the competition for the V6 power units, right, in 2014, and that's what kind of helped produce all those championships with Lewis. So it's really exciting that they have someone that knows what they're doing, and we'll get into a little bit later. Maybe Adrian Newey, right? He's also coming to Aston Martin, which just shows how they are, trying to build for 2025.
Yeah. I mean, let's jump into it, right? With Adrian Newey. Like, my comment was sad that he was Aston Martin.
No, you have a lot for me to go on this, right? I got sad, period, and that's it.
Well, I mean, it makes me sad, right? He's such an icon at Red Bull, and like obviously, like Red Bull's my number one team, but he has such an amazing legacy, and he truly is a one of a kind human when it comes to designing race cars. Like, he still sketches them on paper. Nobody does that. He is still hand drawing the designs for these cars. And so when he announced mid-season he was going to Aston Martin, it makes sense. Lawrence Stroll has the money and the resources to, essentially let Adrian Newey create the car of his dreams, within the cap cost. But
I think it's really exciting. And, at Red Bull, right, we didn't just see the departure of Adrian Newey. We saw a lot of top engineers, right, and a lot of top officers leaving Red Bull. And I don't know if that's, I got my Red Bull shirt on. You got your Red Bull shirt on. But I don't know if that, shows that we might be losing one of our, usually top competitors. But Christian Horner has assured, right, the fans that this is just a new challenge and something new to overcome. But Max and Adrian Newey had a great relationship with each other. And that, I think you also had that written down, had this kind of fueled the rumors with Max going to Aston Martin because he was so connected to Adrian Newey.
There's so many changes coming in 2026, which is like a whole different conversation maybe for next week. But Red Bull's switching to the Ford engines, and Max has been so vocal about the Honda engines. And, guess what? Guess who's going to have Honda engines? There are too many things to fuel that rumor.
It's and there's so many F1 fans, and there's so many rumors, there's so many ideas. It's exciting. I'm really excited. Now, while we're on the engineering side of it, do you want to get into something I know you're very excited about, Laura Mueller?
I am excited about Laura Mueller. The fan base has increased in F1, especially in the United States, for a specific demographic, and that demographic is women. There is a huge amount of female viewership for Drive to Survive, and then that has translated directly into ticket sales and, just people watching races every single week. So because of that, there's been this massive push to get more females interested in the sport, and we can go into things like the F1 Academy. You can push for female drivers, but you also need to push for females inside the garage. And to see the first ever female race engineer is just super cool. Laura Mueller has a lot of experience, and this is just the kind of right move that women need to be making now. I'm a little unhappy that she's going to be doing it for Esteban Ocon, who I feel like is a hothead.
And like Esteban.
Nobody likes
I
Esteban.
don't think Esteban likes Esteban.
Did you see him walk off the track at Monaco this year? Because that's where I drew my line with him. I was like, I can't with you, man.
No, he's up there. He's up there.
Well, you'll see it. You'll see it in Drive to Survive, because they're definitely going to air that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited about it.
I think it is exciting. And like you said, it's not just getting women drivers, but also in the garage, like you said. And, that shows that F1 really is invested in this. Because like you said, when it comes to new fans, you get new demographics and, people like you and getting into Formula One, which is so exciting. And it's something we haven't talked about. I don't know if we said that she's going to Haas, right? She'll be the engineer at Haas. So maybe Haas, someone that has been right towards the back of the grid in the past couple of the years, maybe this might be something that can not just pump like publicity, but right, maybe she can bring new ideas that F1 as a whole has never seen before, right? Coming from a woman.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, there's so many great female strategists and stuff, right? Like look at Bernie, she's one of the best. There's a lot of opportunity, and I think F1 is amazing as a sport because it's not like other sports where there are physiological barriers to having men and women compete together. Things like being a mechanic, like being a race engineer, like being a strategist, even being a race car driver, right? There's not as many barriers to allow men and women to compete together. Like there's not as many reasons for it. So like Susie Wolf is a great example of that. She's the only female in recent time to drive an F1 car, like the newest ones. And there's no reason why she can't succeed just because she's a woman. So I think that this is a rare sport where competition can truly be the reason why people succeed. It doesn't have to be based on any other factors.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Susie Wolf, Toto Wolff's wife, right, was one of the first people to get into, right, the F1 Academy.
So she was selected to be in charge of the F1 Academy because she has all of that experience. She was a reserve driver for Williams. She was the first woman to drive a recent F1 car. She was the team principal for a racing team. I want to say it was a Formula 3 team, the Mercedes Formula 1 team or Formula 3 team. I just know her deal with Toto. She's been very vocal about like she would never work against him. And the F1 Academy is something that wouldn't work against him.
It's very exciting. It's a new part of F1. So I'm very excited.
And there's going to be a Netflix series about it. So
really, is there?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was hoping they would announce the release date with Drive to Survive, but that did not happen.
Is that coming out? Now that's coming from the 2024 season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we have double the watching.
What?
Now we have more people watching, right? Now we have two things to watch. So now you're really behind now. Now you have two different series. Okay. Let's get into drivers, right? A little more. Liam Lawson, right? Coming into Red Bull. I am not happy, but
so many feelings.
But let's see what Destinee has, because Destinee's a little more optimistic and I'm not. So let's see what
I was not optimistic. That's
now you are
inaccurate. I was very upset about it. I truly knew that Checo was going to be cut. There's no way that you can get around that, right? Contract or not, there are performance clauses in these things, and he was not performing. I wanted it to be a twist, and I wanted Carlos Sainz to go back to Red Bull. That did not happen. So that made me sad.
Didn't we all?
I desperately did not want it to be Yuki. So in that way, I am grateful. I was sad that it was Liam. I did not think he was ready. And then I went back and rewatched Drive to Survive. And I'm more okay with it now. I'm not as negative about it.
I'm still negative about it. I don't know. I'm not a Liam Lawson fan. Liam, I'm sure you're not listening to this, but if you are, I'm not a Liam Lawson fan. But I agree. Yuki did not have he does have the experience. I don't think he's ready for it yet. Very, very immature. But we all know that about Yuki. But we all love Yuki, which is okay. But Liam Lawson, I don't think he has the experience. I don't think he's ready. I don't think I can see that star quality of a rookie that I saw with Max. I think
they don't want a star. They don't want someone to outshine Max. They need someone to back Max up, and that's why Checo was perfect. Now, I also thought Valtteri Bottas would have been an amazing second to Max. But that
Valtteri already knew that. Because when he was at Mercedes, he was the second driver to Lewis, and he was good with that.
Well, sometimes.
Well, I was gonna say, yes, he did complain about it every once in a while. I'm Checo leaving with really not being told.
Oh, he had to have known. I don't buy that for a second.
I don't know. I saw a lot that he didn't know.
He might have rested.
Surprised. Did you hear the things he said? He said he was surprised.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that's optics and PR, because you cannot tell me that you underperformed so hard for an entire season that you failed to put your team in the running for the Constructors' Championship and you're not even a little worried you're going to be fired from your job?
Yeah.
You know deep down, you just don't want it to be true. And I think he was living in that state of denial.
Yes. I'm trying to look at his stats this year. He finished 8th in the drivers' standings, but very strong start, right? 18 points, 10 points, 18 points, 21 points, 18 points, and then the slow drop off. Nothing.
They were recovered after Monaco.
It was really upsetting. I really like Checo. I think he just served his purpose. But he's just a nice guy. I hope he ends up getting a seat eventually. One more, gets another chance because I do like him.
Oh, 100%. I think he's going to end up at an Audi or a Cadillac, without a doubt.
I hope so. I like Checo. And I think he's been in the sport again for a while, but I think he's always got kind of a bad rap of things.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for him. What about Yuki being a reserve driver for Red Bull this year?
You mean his a consolidatory prize for throwing a massive temper tantrum because he didn't get the second Red Bull seat? Because that's how I felt like they were like, it's okay, Yuki, you can be our reserve driver.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what happens when Liam or Max is out, and let's see if they actually start Yuki. But I don't know. You're right. Yuki has been right now with Racing Bulls, right? For a while now. He's been there for a long time. And, we always saw that seat as something that would eventually be promoted to the Red Bull team. And there's been many, many, many opportunities for this to happen, and it hasn't happened yet. So,
no. He'll move.
I don't know if he's a little delusional, but we'll see.
Oh, 100% he's delusional. I mean, that's where the attitude comes from. But he'll definitely move once his contract is up and he'll get another seat. He'll probably go to somewhere like an Alpine,
Yeah. He's a little like a Lance Stroll, He is. Yells at his engineer, thinks he's better than he is. As we slow down, look at that, slow down. As we conclude, do you want to get into we already got 2 Formula facts. Do you want to get into a couple more?
Yeah, the actual Formula facts that we prepared for.
Or legit Formula, not the ones that you went off the top of your head from and I had no idea. Get into the real ones.
Okay, so this episode's Formula fact is on preseason testing. So held this year in Bahrain again. This is the first opportunity that teams have to send their cars out on the track. The entire process is highly regulated and limited to 24 hours total of testing time. Now, this isn't just about who's going to be able to go the fastest. There's going to be a lot of data collected. This is the time where teams figure out, is the thing that they've worked on for the past year actually going to happen? So you'll see a lot of fancy rigs on the cars, collecting many data points. There will be every single data point possible will happen and will be covered during this preseason testing. It could go right. It could go wrong like it did for Mercedes, and they've never been able to recover from that. So, again, you can watch it live. You can tune into the F1 stuff, but it will not be about who's getting the fastest lap on the track.
And I think something else that can be said, right, about this testing is this is the first time, right, that we're seeing, unless we already said, the first time we're seeing the new cars, right, because before they've only been able to drive the older cars. And I was asking you that before this. I was just, why are they allowed to drive, right, their 2025 cars yet? And you said no, because they have to wait for preseason testing, which is exciting. I think it builds more of a, of a story, right, when they have to figure it out quickly before the first race in Melbourne. But I'm very excited.
I am too. I think it's going to be really cool. And then while we're talking about the 2025 cars, we should talk about what's coming up next week. So for the first time ever on the 75th anniversary of Formula One, the F1 75 live event is where all the cars and the livery will be debuted. It's going to happen in front of 15,000 fans, so it's going to be a massive deal.
Yeah, it's really exciting. You can stream it live on February 18th, free on the F1 YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us on our first episode of Formula Facts. Make sure to tune in next week, right? Comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Watch Drive to Survive. Get excited. I'm Jack Like.
I'm Destinee Day.
Thanks for watching.